Hi, Rachel here from the Confused Millennial, and today I am bringing you 7 Dollar Tree Christmas DIYs. Definitely won't want to miss. Also, make sure to hit that notification and subscribe button because I'm going to be sharing a decorate with me video using these DIYs we make today, plus Dollar Tree decor and Target budget decor. Like when you first walk into the store and everything's like under $10. We have a whole like Christmas tree farm theme happening, and I have to say I'm obsessed with it. And yes, I am one of those crazy people that decorates on November 1st, especially this year because we could all use a little more joy. I'll also throw the supply list for each of these DIYs up at the beginning, so feel free to go ahead, screenshot those, have your phone ready. First up is this Christmas tree farm sign. For it, you're going to need, so the first step is going to be to cut your board. I knew exactly where I planned on putting this sign, so what I went ahead and did was just kind of like eyeballed out how big I wanted my finished sign to be on that shelf. If you don't know where you're going to put it, just come up with dimensions that you like. Take a knife or take some sort of cutting tool and cut through the poster board carefully and gently. I do suggest laying down like another layer of cardboard underneath or doing this outside. Obviously, you want to be careful that if you cut through the poster board, you're not going to cut up your counters for your table. The next part is going to be adding your frame. So for this, we're just going to take that wood contact paper from the Dollar Tree and go ahead and cut strips about twice as wide as you'll need. So for instance, if you want a 1/2 inch frame around your poster board, you'll cut 1 inch wide strip. This way you'll have a little extra backing, so when you fold it underneath onto the back of this, it'll actually stick. I made the mistake and cut mine a little bit too thin. It wasn't a big deal. I just went in with some tape and taped the excess contact paper up onto the back of the poster board. Another little tip I suggest is having like a popsicle stick, or I'm using just this wooden block that came in our Love Every Block set, which makes a great Christmas gift, and I'll link below, to go ahead and smooth out any bubbles or creases when adhering the contact paper. And it will also come in handy when we get to actually putting our design on our poster board. So the next part is going to be to create your picture. I wanted to do a Christmas tree farm theme this year, so very kind of farmhousey, rustic-y. I made this in Canva. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below if you want to make your own sign. It's a really easy program to use. I'll also leave a link in the description box below if you want to use my exact design, where you can just go ahead and print that out. Keep in mind though, my picture's dimensions might be different than yours, so you may have to adjust the zoom on that a few times over, but I went ahead and left a couple different options for you. So one's just like a regular 8.5 by 11 if you wanted to print this out and just frame it and not do this whole poster board situation. With my design printed out, I simply cut it out and then took a glue stick, put some glue on the back of it, and used that little wooden block piece again to smooth that on, making sure that there were no bubbles. Next, I took my red truck Christmas tree ornament and I took off the bottom that said Merry Christmas here by just untwisting the wire. And then I went ahead and kind of laid it out to see where it would ultimately sit on my picture. The ornament is kind of 3D-ish with the way that the tree sits on top of the truck. Just went ahead, added some hot glue to the tree and to the tires of the ornament and stuck it on, holding it in place for like 30 seconds. And there you have it, our finished Christmas tree farm sign. Next up is our tree farm terrarium. For this, all you're gonna need is, I did use a combination of the Dollar Tree sisal trees and then also a pack of sisal trees I got on Amazon, which I will leave a link to in the description box below. I wanted some varying height in my sisal trees, and I was also using them to decorate my fireplace in other areas, and I'm using them for some more Christmas DIYs I have coming at you that are not just Dollar Tree related, but are all very budget friendly as well. Step 1 is going to be removing these stickers at the bottom of these glass bowls. If you plan to display your terrarium stacked and high up, because when people look up, they will be able to see the base of the glass bowls. Next, you're just gonna pour a little bit white sand, a little bit of snow, and then you will take your sisal trees and just gently press them into the snowy mixture until their base is covered. And that's it. You can display these just kind of one bowl as is, or you can go ahead and stack them like I did. Our woodland themed wreath. For this, you're gonna need start by taking your garland and just covering your wreath wireframe. I liked wrapping it fairly tightly so that it was kind of even and there was no gaps, there were no holes. You'll need about 1.5 of their garland. So once your wreath is fully covered, just go ahead and cut off the excess and just twist the garland edge around the wreath to hold it in place so that it's secure. There's no need to glue this or anything like that. And I took my 2 holiday florals and I duck them into the wreath. No hot gluing, no twisting, no nothing. They just kind of wedged right in perfectly. And then for my woodland creature, I was a little bit nervous about just hot gluing it directly onto the wreath. I wanted the option to be able to repurpose these in future years. I also didn't fully trust myself that I would get the positioning just right. So what I did was I took a little bit of that leftover garland and just cut about 8 inches of it off, folded that in half, and then put a little dollop of glue on the back of the owl ornament and just held one of those sides of the garland in place. So this is essentially creating an inverted V behind the owl where only one side is glued on. And what the idea basically is here is that we're creating a tie to put the owl on rather than permanently putting the owl on. This way, if you want to draw a little bit higher, a little bit lower, you could go ahead and adjust accordingly. Once I made my little twisty ring to go on the owl, I went ahead, twisted that onto the wreath, and then readjusted my florals as needed. I wanted everything to sit really tight and close together here, and that was it. You're done. Next is the super fun Christmas mailbox. For it, you're going to need one is going to be to just cut your foam block so that the height of it is just beneath that base rectangular tin. You can go ahead, hot glue the foam block into place in your metal tin. Step 2 is going to be putting your mailbox together. So all I did was I twisted the foam part off of the wooden handles first, and then I hot glued 2 of the handles together so that they were in a straight line. I then went ahead and just stuck that into the foam block and then put a little bit of hot glue at the top of the wooden post and held my mailbox in place. Just like the Christmas tree farm terrariums, you're gonna wanna make sure that you get the label off the mailbox first. I made that mistake. Because I was displaying this above eye level, I was able to see the leftover sticker underneath the mailbox, so definitely get all of your packaging and stickers off ahead of time. I went ahead and took the leftover garland from our Christmas wreath and used that to fill in the base of the mailbox. You could also use some holiday florals, or they have some like grassy moss in the gardening section. Really whatever you want to make it your own. Next is our white Christmas village. At the Dollar Tree, they have these cute little village figurines. I went ahead, spray painted them white. I think it took about 3 coats to get them fully covered. And then I took some Mod Podge and a paintbrush, which you can also get at the Dollar Tree. Went ahead and just painted on the glue to the areas that I wanted to really enhance the snowy effect. On some of the figurines, they already had like indents for where the snow would go. I did it there, and then anywhere else that I thought would look good, like the bases of them or around window frames that maybe didn't already have snow on them, things like that. And then I went ahead and just put the figurine on a paper plate and dusted it with some of the faux snow. Again, I used the glittery faux snow. That way, whatever didn't stick to the figurine landed in the plate, and then I could just go ahead, pour the leftover snow from the plate back into my snow bag and continue reusing it until all of my figurines were done. And there you have it, a white Christmas. Mini Christmas trees done 2 ways. So first is going to be actually setting up your Christmas tree. When you go ahead and take out the Dollar Tree mini Christmas trees, you will see that they are kind of sparse. So what I suggest doing is getting these garland wire sprigs, I guess we could call them. They are basically like 8-inch long garland strips that are wire, and all you'll do is go ahead and fold them in half and twist them around any of the empty areas. A little tip for you is as you get higher up on your Christmas tree, go ahead and twist them in half so that you have your long strips, but then fold those long ears in half again so that they're shorter. Not only will this give you a fuller look at the top, but it will also give you a more realistic V shape to your tree. Next, totally optional, is you can go ahead and use some of the spray snow from the Dollar Tree to flock your tree. The more layers you put on this, the thicker the flocking is going to be. I only did a light coat of this. You're gonna do that for 2 different trees for this DIY, or however many trees you wanna make. I wanted to put one in our bedroom and one at our fireplace. For the one base in our bedroom, this is so simple, it's almost cheating and I feel bad calling it a DIY, but we're gonna call it a DIY. I literally just took one of the galvanized tins from the gardening spring collection and put the tree in there. No foam block, no holding it in place, very, very simple. Farmhouse finish. If you want, you could always go ahead and add like a Christmas bow to this, adding a little ornament or adding a little pizzazz. The next Christmas tree base we're gonna do, you'll need a pencil cup and either a hula skirt or some of the raffia that you can get in the gardening section, or really any of their jute or natural fiber rope. So if you go with raffia or a hula skirt, which is what I did here, all you're gonna do is braid this off. Once you have a ton of braids, you'll go ahead, take some hot glue and just wrap that around the pencil cup, making sure that all of the braid rows sit really close together so that you don't see any of the pencil cup through it. If you go with more of their jute or natural twine, I would go with a thinner one. You'll do the exact same thing, only without the braiding. So you'll go ahead, hot glue it and just wrap it tightly around so everything sits close together. This is gonna be more like a boho basket finish. With the pencil cup, I do recommend using some of that leftover foam block from the Christmas mailbox, cutting that to fit inside of the pencil cup, and you'll go ahead and just stick your Christmas tree into that foam block. And there you have it. Mini Christmas trees, 2 ways, farmhouse or boho. If you guys recreate any of these, I would love to see them. Tag me on Instagram at the Confused Millennial. Make sure to hit that notification and subscribe button because I'm going to be bringing you some more Christmas DIYs, all using really budget-friendly items. And of course, I will be sharing with you my Decorate With Me video, which also only uses items from the Dollar Tree or for under $10 at Target. Until next time, I'm Rachel. Thanks so much for joining me.